Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
PodUp with Matthews in the morning, coming to you from the International Diamond Center Studios, locations across the state of Florida and right there in Celebration Point in the heart of Gator Nation. Go check them out. Also, don't forget, Comfort Temp Heating and Air is your #1 local HVAC company. Go visit them at comforttemp.com. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. We got a good show lined up today. We'll have Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. Then we'll have the voice of the Florida Gators, Sean Kelly. Let's go to the Titan of our hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We're joined by Edgar Thompson. Good morning, Edgar. How you doing?
Shane, we're doing it earlier than usual.
Yeah,
my hat's on.
Get up early.
I got my TPC 50th anniversary hat on it.
Edgar, before we jump into the Gators.
You got the fun and gun. I like that shirt. I hadn't seen one of those.
Well, my LLC is called Fun and Gun LLC. These shirts, when Coach Spurrier, I guess, when did we do that? He had a reunion for all his teams one summer. And so I had a bunch of shirts made for the guys. So
you give him, I'm trying to get this hat straight. This thing's crooked. What's so you made him, did you give Bianchi a cut? Because didn't Bianchi name it?
Bianchi was there. I don't know if I don't know if I gave them to the media boys. But yeah, Bianchi was there for sure. I don't know why my Facebook won't work here, but anyway, Edgar, before we jump into football, you're a golfer like I am. You love the game. You just give me your thoughts. If you had been Keegan Bradley, what would you have done?
I like what he did. Keegan is we've seen him, right? He's kind of a distracted guy. He's got all his little quirks with his putting and the flipping the club around and all that. He's kind of I'm like Keegan kind of, right? There's a little AD, little bouncing her off the wall stuff. He needs to focus on being the captain. Yeah. That's not easy, right? There's a lot of pressure. And if it doesn't work out and you lose to the Euros on American soil in New York City, of all places, where the fans are going to be vile probably at times, right? I mean, the Europeans are walking into a cauldron, man. That's going to be like the swamp and your, Florida State back in the day. He'd get castigated. So he needs to focus on being the captain, I think. And is the margins that much greater if he plays on that team instead of Sam Burns or Ben Griffin, who's been terrific this year?
Yeah.
I just don't think.
Yeah, I agree because being a captain is a little bit cooler than being a player, I think. So anyway, I think we're going to have trouble. I think the European team's stacked. You know what's interesting to me is like every American is on the PGA Tour except DeChambeau. Just curious, have you heard any other guys that are on that Live Tour that are upset they didn't even get consideration?
I mean, I haven't really heard that. Patrick Reed's not the player he was when he was really like Captain America, right? But that's sad for a guy like that, even though P. Reed doesn't deserve much sympathy. I mean, he's kind of a jerk. But his whole family, right? His wife. I mean, those guys, they're kind of whacked. But they he was a Ryder Cup stalwart there for a while. You remember the Rory match in 2016, right? Where they were screaming and yelling.
Yeah.
Remember that? That was an incredible, it petered out after 7-8 holes, but the first 7-8 holes of that match was incredible and really showed the fervor of the Ryder Cup. I love the Ryder Cup. And I'll tell you this, man, I am pumped because it comes on the bye week.
Right.
And I have been I remember I was at Kentucky one year. traveling. I've been traveling for the Ryder Cup. It feels like almost every year I'm somewhere or covering a game, and you end up missing the thing. So I'm going to be hunkered down watching a ton of Ryder Cup. I really wish I could cover a Ryder Cup.
Why can't you?
Well, we're not going to spend the money to go cover the Ryder Cup. Really,
What do you think? Would Edgar Thompson at this time of your career say, you know what, Orlando Sentinel, give me my credentials, I'll cover the costs.
I mean, I actually have family in New York City. In fact, the guy, I made a reference to Carl Banks on our podcast yesterday, and he's like, love the Carl Banks reference. He's a big Giants fan. So I have family in New York. I mean, I could do it, but yeah, it's anyway. The Orlando Sentinel doesn't need me distracting myself with Ryder Cup. Gators, big season. I mean, you know who they play the week after the Ryder Cup is Texas. So I need to kind of focus on that.
Very true. All right. So Gators kick it off 7 o'clock against Long Island. Going to be a blowout city. Hopefully a lot of guys get to play. Just your thoughts, Edgar. I mean, I think Billy spoke to y'all for the final time yesterday. I don't know if he speaks today or not, but
No, he's done with us.
just I mean,
He
just
does he
about his
does
press
the Gator.
conference. He's pretty confident. I mean, obviously you're confident for Long Island, but I'm talking about the season.
He is. And he's a little bit different, Billy, in terms of just, just his presence, his calmness, I think. Not that he's never not seemed calm. I mean, he's very level-headed. I think he's very confident in the team and the roster he's put together. This is what he loves to do, is that he talks about it, building a roster. You've heard him say that before. He loves that part of the game, right? A lot of guys, Dan Mullen, love to coach. I'm not saying Billy doesn't love that aspect too, teaching, coaching, Xing and Owen. Of course he does. But that was like, Dan, just get him the players, and he wanted to do that. Billy likes constructing the roster, watching hundreds of cut-ups. What do you talk? Writing 650 players a year he watches or something crazy?
That's crazy.
Right? He's a lunatic with that. So now he's put together this roster that he's really, I think, proud of, and he's confident in. So let's see. I mean, I think they need to come out and just dominate this team, man. None of this, just kind of winning, and they need to win. Mark Long set the line at 56.5. I think that's a little high, but they need to come out and score 50. You know how many times Steve Spurrier's team scored 50 points? 48 times in 150 games. That's incredible. Billy's done it once in 38 games. So Eastern Washington, I think they need to come out and hang 50 on this team. This team is not even.
It's the worst team that's ever come into that Florida's ever played. I think they
definitely one of them.
I think it's clearly the worst in my lifetime. I think they could store. The difference between Billy's offense and Coach's offense. We didn't throw it as much as people think either. We were very balanced, but we're going to have some. They're not going to be able to stop our run game. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Jaden Ball's going to have
we are going to destroy their defensive line. Destroy it. So
they should. And here's what I was going to say. But Billy doesn't go for the jugular enough, or hasn't. And let's see. I mean, if he comes out and they stomp this team, and the defense, as we saw in November, could get into some feeding frenzies. And defensives love that, right? You've been around the game forever. Defenses love it, man, when they start just sacking you, forcing turnovers, right? Get you on your heels. I mean, look what they did to Nussmeier last year. There are a lot of people, I think, on this beat even, and kind of like, somebody was at Nussmeier the other day, and I'm like, dude, Nussmeier is good.
He's very good.
he just came here and just got his tail kicked. That isn't the Garrett Nussmeier that I think people are going to see this year most of the time, or at all.
I had Steve Palazzolo on yesterday he covers the NFL daily.
Mm-hmm.
He says Nussmeier will be the top quarterback taken next year.
Who said that?
Steve Palazzolo, he used to work for Pro
Yeah.
Football Focus. Now he went off on his own.
Okay.
But yeah, Nussmeier's great. Look, the offensive line didn't block great. I still have my concerns about the defense. I'm one of the very people in the minority about this because I know we played better at the end of the year, but we still gave up. And yards don't mean everything, but when the other team has the ball majority of the game, I mean, I want to say, Edgar, you have to look at the stats, but I think we were like 14th out of 16 teams in the SEC in yardage given up on the season. I'm not 100% sure of that, but somebody
No, they
told
were 15th.
15th out of 16. Okay. That's my point. When you go back and you look at Ole Miss and LSU, they went up and down the field the entire freaking game. Great. That's part of the football game. But we got to have some guys that can make some stops, a bunch of 3-and-outs. And that's what I'm keeping my fingers crossed for this year from a defensive standpoint.
Check out
Every
this.
3-and-out Saturday night.
Florida gave up 5.25 yards per play last year on defense. Georgia gave up 5.05. That's kind of crazy. They were ninth in yards per play, which I think is a pretty good indicator. But again, they were so bad in September, man, that it just skewed the statistics big time. They had, what'd they have? I had the stats on the tip of my tongue, but at one point, but they had what, 12 turnovers, 19 sacks and like 12 turnovers in the last 4 games, something like that.
Yeah.
So they were swarming down the stretch.
Turnovers have text on the Titan our text line from Jimmy. He says, maybe Billy will run the score up. I haven't seen Billy wear any black at practice or in his pressers this year. Maybe he is changing.
He did wear black yesterday.
People get so worried about that.
Someone texted me right at the beginning of the I'm talking right at the beginning. You want, what color shirt is Napier wearing right now?
Why do people care? Do people realize that Todd Golden wears black on the sidelines of the court side? Every sport at Florida wears black. They're not aware of that.
Kelly Ray wears it all the time.
Yeah. Never. All right. Rick from Jupiter says on the Titan of our text line, which game this weekend are you looking forward to most, and which is the most under the radar game you are looking forward to seeing week 1? I honestly, I can't wait to watch Texas and Ohio State, Clemson, LSU. Obviously, I'll be watching that one as I'm watching our game. But those are probably my 2. I want to see Florida State. I don't think they're very good. I'll see if Alabama proves that. But and then Tennessee plays Syracuse. I believe that game is in Atlanta. The Vols better watch out.
It's in Atlanta at noon.
Yeah, the Vols better be careful.
You think?
Yes. I think Fran Brown's a hell of a coach. Now, Kyle McCord's not there. I don't know who their quarterback is this year, but I was not a fan of Tennessee when Nico was there. I think their offense is very limited at certain things. They lost Dylan Sampson, who was the player of the year in the conference, a really good running back. I know Tennessee has other running backs. I think this quarterback's going to be better than Nico, but for some reason, watching Tennessee in person last year and knowing what Syracuse did under Fran Brown, I think the Orange can keep it close. The Orange men, not the Tennessee Orange, but the Orange men.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that. Honestly, I know Tennessee really petered out at the end of last year. So, I mean, they made the playoff, but just were unimpressive then. But, Florida should have beaten them. I mean, that is the one game that there are plenty that, Billy, you've been like, was the team ready and all that. They were ready for that game, though. They just kept making just really bad mistakes. They should have beaten Tennessee last year. Notre Dame Miami is interesting me big time, and I love that it's on a Sunday. And you also get Virginia Tech at North Carolina on a Sunday. It's going to be a good weekend. Then you get the North Carolina game Monday night to see what Bill Belichick's got going. So that's going to be fun. I think, Ohio State, Texas, man, that's like the game. And we get to watch it because it's noon and we got a 7 o'clock kick. I love that.
Yeah, like I said, I wish we were playing at 8 a.m. AU Gator on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, says, here's the losses the Gainesville Sun has Florida losing to Ole Miss, Georgia, and LSU. I wonder what Edgar thinks.
I mean, LSU is going to be tough. Season opener, a lot of you still get 30% of your rosters new. Night game in Tiger Stadium. It is really like very few places. I mean, the Swamp can get up to that level. There are not many. I went to Auburn in 06 when they lost to Auburn. You remember that game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like Leak had a tough night, and I think Eric Wilbur had his only punt blocked of his whole career, and they scored on it. But it was an incredible atmosphere that night. So there are not many places like Tiger Stadium, though.
It's the greatest venue. It's the greatest venue, in my opinion, in sports.
Well, there you go.
That's my opinion.
That's a big ask. They haven't won there but one time since Tebow, and that needed a goal line stand. That was an incredible game, that one in 16. That was postponed by the hurricane. So you needed a postponed game from a hurricane and a goal line stand to win there since Tebow. So that's what it takes. Yeah. And so that, I think, I mean, Texas, man, or A&M, one of those two games, you sweep those, that's going to be impressive. And so I might probably give them a loss maybe in one of those games. Georgia, they could be, I don't know what if I'm sold on Gunnar Stockton, but we'll see. So they could win all their November games. At Ole Miss, I mean, I don't know. They got 4 returning starters, but this Austin Simmons, former Gator recruit or commit, excuse me, he's really talented.
Yeah, they love him.
But man, I don't know what he has around him. I mean, he did a lot of work in the portal, but 4 returning starters. So we'll see. I could see Florida being anywhere from 8 to 10 wins if, you know, things have improved. There's a lot of ifs still. I got to see Billy, man, calling games cleaner. The operations got to be cleaner, man. I mean, I still go back to the opener against Utah. That was just
yeah, but that was 2 years ago.
Okay, but that's his. Then they lose the Arkansas game, the Kentucky game they didn't show up for last year. They didn't show up for Miami. They didn't show up for A&M, the Tennessee game. There's a lot of games where you're just kind of like, the team just wasn't ready. We're not going to get any indication the next 2 weeks of how ready this team is.
Yeah, I mean, I just think Miami was better than we were last year, and Cam Ward played lights out. Sometimes when people say the team wasn't ready, sometimes
A&M.
A&M beat the hell out of us physically.
They were down 20-0 at halftime to a team with a quarterback who never even played.
Right, but I didn't think we were that great defensively, and we couldn't stop him.
Explain Kentucky 2 years ago. Off the Tennessee one.
Didn't AR throw 2 pick sixes in that game?
No, they ran it down their throat for like 300 yards.
Well, anyway, what my point is, sometimes the other team just plays better than you do.
You're beaten. You came off a Tennessee win at home, and you go to Kentucky. You didn't show up.
I know. I'm not just. It doesn't matter who the opponent is, Edgar. What I'm saying is, I think sometimes when a team loses, they're like, they weren't ready to play, which in the case is not the truth sometimes. Sometimes the other team just out executes you and beats the hell out of you. Whether that's on the
Utah
coach, whether it's
2
on the
years
players.
ago.
What's that?
Utah 2 years ago. There's penalties in the red zone. They're blowing
agree.
right out
I
of
agree.
the gate.
The
2 threes on the field.
We coached terrible, but I'd be damned if we didn't play very good either.
Okay, I'm just saying, man, there's just a lot of that that's been happening for 2-3 years.
I agree.
We can't see that anymore.
I agree, but I put it on the coaches, but I also put it on the players. Here's what I like to say. The coaches can only do so much. Then the damn players have to go and execute it. If the left tackle's getting his ass beat, what's the coach going to do about that? I mean, he can change the player or whatever, but I hear what you're saying. I hear what fans are saying.
I don't know that fans are saying that. I've been saying.
Well, here's where I like to put it, because I like to look at the whole body of work. Let's go to last year. A&M and Miami were disasters. Ole Miss and LSU people love because we won the damn game. We still did not play that great in those games. I still feel like Ole Miss and LSU outplayed us. They
Yeah.
had too many errors that lost them the game, how we had too many errors in the first two games that lost us those games. I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does. And Brian Kelly is like on the edge with the fan base there. Look, Billy, this is the year we're going to get the real evaluation of Billy, I think. He's got everything in place now. Now, they do have new staff guys. You got a quarterback who we're not sure fully where his health is, though yesterday on the positive, I mean, he was raving about DJ, how impressive he's been. It's impressive to watch. It's fun to watch, to be quite honest. He's had really good days. Look, if DJ is up and rolling, you get Dallas Wilson back healthy. Trey Wilson's healthy. We saw him yesterday. Mark Long and I, after we were done, we were standing out there talking, and Trey walked by, and I think he's ready to roll. And this run game with Baugh, Jackson, your guy KD Daniels, the offensive line, this team could be really explosive. And defensively, like you said, they need to answer some concerns for sure. But there's talent there off the edge, linebacker. You have, if Devin Moore can stay healthy, you have an NFL corner there. I think safeties need to step up. I mean, Jordan Gestel, I'd like to see this kid playing with a little more like anticipation or decisiveness, let's say more. Play more, a little more like Aaron Gates does, right? A little more instinctively, a little more decisively. And he's back amazingly after an ACL. They got a lot of pieces. They need some guys to emerge on the interior line, obviously. But anyway, this team, the pieces are there, man. So let's see if all the operation comes together. And again, this is a year we're going to find out a lot about where this program is. We're going to know a lot by the end of this next month.
Gallo Car Wash is locally owned by UF alum and the only car wash that provides NIL opportunities to Gator athletes. Locations on Northwest 13th Street, Wilson Road, and coming soon to Jonesville. We got Edgar Thompson here for a few more minutes, then we'll have Sean Kelly, voice of the Gators. This is a text on the Titan Mark text line from Johnny in Lake City. He said, this question is for both of you guys. I'm wondering if you guys feel like our secondary will be improved this year. If so, how much? Seemed like it's been real weak in the last few years. I disagree with that. I thought Jason Marshall Jr. was an NFL guy. I think he's going to be starting for the Dolphins this year. I think Devin Moore's an NFL guy. Your DBs are only as good as your pass rush. I don't care who you are. You can take the damn guys that have gold jackets that played in the secondary, and if they don't have a pass rush, they can't cover long enough. And that's why I go back to our secondary will be as good as the front seven of our defense. And do we have that dude that's going to disrupt in the opposing team's offense? That's the story of the season to me right there.
They're good off the edge.
Well, they are at times, but I guess what I would love to do is call up people that I know that coach offense in the SEC that are playing the Gators and saying, who or if do the Gators have a player that you have to build your game plan around to say that guy cannot disrupt the game? I don't know. My eyes have not told me we have that guy.
It's a fair point. They definitely don't have like a John Bullard in the middle. Caleb Banks. I'm in this Carl Banks mode right now.
Caleb Banks. So my biggest thing is,
but no, he needs to have a huge year.
We need an Alex Brown. We need a Dante Fowler Jr. We need a John Grenard. Those are guys that change the game. And the offense coordinators had to say, what are we going to do to make sure these guys don't go win the football game? Could it be a guy we have right now?
Who'd you say there? Fowler, Grenard, and who?
Alex Brown. I mean, we're going way back.
No, I didn't. I was wondering.
We're going way back.
Ja'Kai Polite forced 7 fumbles that year and had 11 sacks. Everybody forgets that season he had. That defense was good, and he was a big reason. He and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson were incredible in that defense. You remember how good Chauncey was.
Yeah, that was under Muschamp, right?
No, it's 2018. It was Mullen's first year. That defense
Yeah.
was pretty good. So yeah, I agree with you. Is Sapp that guy? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
He
here,
could be. I hope he is.
People aren't talking about, or maybe they are some. And he caught my eye 2 years ago in the indoor at a practice where we were forced inside because of rain, and he hadn't done much yet. He did start the first 4 games last year, but then was replaced. Cam James, man, this kid is an athlete. You realize he's got a 38.5-inch vertical at 6'6", 270? He has got length. He's explosive. I remember seeing his first step. I mean, we were in the indoor and he was coming off the ball, and I'm looking at him, and then Sapp, and I'm like, it's not even the same guy. And 4 inches taller too. And he just hasn't really, this could be his year to break out. I think he could do that. I think Aaron Childs is a guy people aren't talking about. You were talking about a guy who's 6'2", 244 who can run and can cover. And he had an incredible scrimmage, the first one. If you go look, I forced a fumble, had a pick, did all kinds of stuff. I was at the Under Armour game. He had 2 fumble recoveries, ran one back. He could be a factor. Miles Graham's going to be a star, as we've talked about. Now, I don't know you're scheming around him. But Childs could be a guy like that. I don't know. LJ McCray needs to get healthy. I don't know where that stands.
Mm-hmm.
But he needs to take a Jokum jump, as Mark likes to call him. But there are some potential pieces there. I mean, Gums, we haven't even mentioned. He was coming on. So I don't know. I agree with you. I mean, but I don't know the rosters and the teams around the league, and who, there's not a lot of Colin Simmons and Anthony Hills out there like Texas has, but there might be some guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that's my big. I think for us to have the season everybody wants to have, and to be in that playoff talk, the defense to me has to step up. I think offensively we're going to have a lot of firepower. I really do. So
I don't disagree. The defense needs to build on what it did last
like
year.
I said, I was in the minority even when we were winning those games at the end of the year. I'm like, man, these teams are going up and down the field. I'm in the radio booth going, we can't get off the field. We cannot get off the field.
Well, if Ole Miss hadn't dropped a half dozen plus passes, they win the game.
Yeah, and Jackson Dart didn't play great. He threw some interceptions, but again, that's a credit to our crowd for affecting their play, and it's a credit to our players for making plays when you needed to make them, which we did. So, all right, real quick before we get you out of here, Edgar, from a health standpoint, I know you don't have to. Billy doesn't have to give out the injury updates until I guess we get an SEC play. I think DJ needs to play a full half. I just don't think he's played enough football.
I agree.
And again, I say it on every one of these shows. I had to go on like 4 shows yesterday. None of DJ's injuries that he has have anything to do with contact in a football game. Not one. So, and Long Island ain't gonna get near him. I think he needs to play 2 quarters, full half, get a 2-minute drive. Whether we're up 42-0 with 2.5 minutes to go in the first half, run the 2-minute offense. He needs reps.
I don't disagree at all. And I hope he does play a half. But that backup quarterback battle is going to be interesting. I know people are talking about it and it can get cliche at times, but it's not. In this case, it's not. They need to have a guy that's ready. And you hear Tramel Jones is the one who flashes the most, but he doesn't. He's not even going to be 19 till December or whatever. I don't know that he's ready to start taking over at a big time, in a big time game yet. But Aiden Warner could be ahead of Harrison Bailey, which is kind of stunning. But let's see how those guys play. I actually am interested to see the second half and watch those guys some,
Right.
Even though it's like going up against a flag football team over at Flavette.
Yeah.
Do you realize Long Island University, their final home game last year, it's like Central Connecticut State or whatever, right? They had 453 fans at that game. So, so you know what I was saying? Because I talked to Luke Poulter on Tuesday, back to golf, about the Walker Cup. He's playing Cypress Point next week. You know how hard that is to get on?
I've played it.
Oh, you have?
With the head ball coach. Yep.
That's like, what'd you think?
Oh, it was phenomenal. I mean, I played Cypress, Pebble, Spyglass, Spanish Bay, and one other, like 5 straight days. So it was,
Tough life.
this was back 20 something years ago.
Well, so Cypress Point is exclusive. It's harder to get on than Augusta. I mean, it really is.
It is.
So we're talking to Luke about it, and it just occurs to me out of nowhere. That's basically what Long Island University is doing this week. If I went to Cypress Point, I could shoot 100. And I mean, I would rather play better, but it's still like, wow, right?
Yeah.
These guys are going to come get their tails kicked, but they're at the swamp.
It's going to be a great experience for these kids. I'm happy for them. They're going to get a nice little check, and it's the experience of a lifetime. So, Edgar, we got to get to Sean Kelly. We'll see you in the press box Saturday night, my man.
Thanks for having me as always.
Yep, that's Edgar Thompson. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Quick timeout, come back. We'll be joined by Sean Kelly, the voice of the Florida Gators. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back. Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, International Diamond Center, Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Sign, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Naysayers. Setbacks. Injuries. Life throws a lot of hurdles your way. The key is just keep jumping them.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
Coach, you know, it always impressed me how you beat Florida State to win the 1996 National Championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You know, you won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spur's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave, Los Linderos tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean Head Beer Coach 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Linderos tequila, smooth enough to drink neat, bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Linderos tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Linderos.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. The Pouncey twins, Mike and Marquise, invite you to try their mango martinis at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, handcrafted with their J.F. Hayden liqueurs. Try those flavors or find your favorite at shopjfhaydens.com. Back to the Titan Tomorrow Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. We're joined by the voice of the Gators, Sean Kelly. Good morning, partner. How you doing?
Partner, I'm doing great. I'm ready for a game. I'm tired of watching Gators on Gators and talking about all the stuff that we won't get answers to until we see them on a game field. So other than that, I'm great.
My question to you real quick, with all your preparation, do you have any idea who number 47 is for us? Because we may be talking about him tonight or tomorrow, Saturday night.
I'm getting there. I was at practice yesterday, and normally, full disclosure, I kind of zone out a little bit when they get to the 3s and the 4s at practice. They get a rep or two, depending on the period. And yesterday, I'm like, I better pay more attention. These guys are playing Saturday night at some point, which is great for them. And I think for our fans too, because there are guys that have great stories that are deeper down in the depth chart that are somewhat new to the program that maybe we can shine a light on them here in week 1, maybe a little bit in week 2. But then after that, when you look at the schedule, those guys are going to have a hard time finding the field. So, gosh, it's kind of nice to have a ramp-up game, don't you think, partner? And I was looking just in my time here, it's always been a ranked team that the Gators have opened the season with.
Yeah, and I do a podcast with Coach Spurrier and Steve Russell as well, and we talked about this. This is not only is it a great experience for Long Island coming to the Swamp. I mean, something that they probably never dreamed of doing, but a lot of the walk-ons. That's one thing that we took pride in when Coach Spurrier was here is if we played an inferior opponent, we wanted to jump on them early. So those guys who get up at 5:30 for the runs, all the lifts, all the meetings, this is their time to shine and get an opportunity. And I still have friends that, talk about catching a wheel route. That wheel route gets longer and longer every year. And they try to tell people it wasn't against Akron, it was against Tennessee. But you know what I'm saying? It's just like the fish you catch. That 15-pound bass turns into a 25-pound bass 10 years later. But this is a great time for them. Great time.
And in this world of social media and clips and highlights and everything else, they're like your teammates that were walk-ons that got those special moments. There's very little video proof, right, of that big moment that their story expands upon. But in this day and age, there's something that they can hang on, for the rest of their lives. And, we're going to see that walk-on aspect of college football begin to shrink after this season.
Yeah.
The number will diminish year by year as the rules now state, and you and I both know these rules seem to be changeable every year, but every time a walk-on leaves the program, that's one less walk-on spot that she'll have moving forward. So right now you've got the full complement of walk-ons, and slowly but surely that'll start to dwindle. So I think that's a great storyline for this week, and one that's probably ignored, and I'm glad we've started our conversation with it.
Yeah. Dan has a question on Facebook Live brought to you by Mel Law. Sean, what road game are you looking forward to this year?
Road game this year, probably at LSU. Look, I used to live over that way. My daughter went there. If I'm just being objective for a moment, let me take off the orange and blue just for a second. That place on a Saturday night is one of the 5 best college football atmospheres in the country.
Agreed.
Maybe 4, maybe top 4. So there's that. But I also have this kind of relationship with that institution that I love nothing more than beating LSU. And as the radio announcer, I have nothing to do with that, but it's my team, and the Gators haven't won on Saturday night in that building since 2009. And so that's the one I'm looking forward to the most.
Mike's question for me on Facebook Live brought to you by Mel Law. What's the most important to you, talent or decision making? For example, Danny or Eric, AR or Trask, decision making quarterback play is crucial. It's right up. This is probably the most important thing to me. Sean, we got a text here on the Titan Tomorrow text line from James in Nashville, Tennessee. He wants to know, Sean, can you give us kind of an idea of what your preparation is like during the week leading up to a game?
Yeah, good question, because it's uniquely different than the other sports that I do. One of the things I love about football season is that until we get to the overlap with basketball, there's this rhythm, right? There's this march to game day, and it's probably similar to the way that you've always prepared for a game, whether it be as a broadcaster or as a player. It's like, kind of on Monday, I do a certain thing. Tuesday is involved a certain process. Wednesdays, Thursdays. So, I mean, just to kind of give you an idea, we shoot Billy Napier's TV show on Monday, kind of midday. And that's really where I kind of put the last week behind me and then start to prepare for the upcoming game. And that's just kind of getting familiar with who our opponent is, what they've been doing. And if I can, I'll get the tape of their last 2 to 3 games and begin watching that. In the meantime, I'll start updating all the Florida Gator numbers on my spotter charts, these boards that are in front of me, where I kind of try to condense all the game prep. Tuesday's a little bit of an off day. It's really kind of the only off day that I can get. So that's kind of catching up on other work-related stuff. And then Wednesday, it really starts to ramp up. And with that, I'm attending practice. I'm getting game notes together, building those boards, making sure that certain interviews are scheduled for the week for our pregame show and everything else. And then Thursday, Shane, might be, to me, that's my most important day to go to practice because the privilege of being able to go, I get to see kind of the script that the Gators are working on. I get to see kind of some of the last installs for the week. I've got a pretty good idea of what personnel looks like, personnel groupings, and then we roll into Gator Talk. And to me, Gator Talk is like this kind of like unofficial start to the football weekend. I have that interview with Coach, usually a player. I'll finish up game prep Thursday night. And then on Friday, it's interview the starting quarterback, interview Coach Napier, and, to use that old phrase, put the hay in the barn. By the middle of Friday afternoon, I'd like to think that I could do the game right now. And that's usually leading up to you and I getting on a plane to travel to the next city, or me to just kind of take a breath on a Friday night before a home game on Saturday. That's the Reader's Digest or the condensed version of what my week looks like.
Yeah. Speaking of practice, obviously everybody's, who do you think's going to be a breakout player or whatever? I mean, you and I think everybody is very familiar with the young receivers because they played in the spring game.
Yeah.
Who, in your mind, is there somebody that you're excited to see? And we don't know if he'll play a lot as the season progresses, but probably will play against Long Island. Maybe somebody that nobody's thinking about that caught your eye.
I was going to ask you, what are we defining as a breakout player?
Well, maybe not a breakout player, but somebody that may have an impact on the season as it moves forward that somebody's not thinking about. We all know Dallas Wilson and Vernell Brown, right?
That's what I'm getting at. Okay.
Somebody different.
Yes. Those are guys that, yes, will have an impact as newcomers, but we already know about them. And I think a guy like Jaden Woods, who's now kind of grabbed some more attention, obviously, he's going to have an impact. I think a guy like Kofi Asar is, I'm looking at him on the practice field yesterday. He's not buying his shirts off the rack. Let's start with that. I mean, and there's a lot of guys on this roster that look that way. But there's something about him that's just kind of caught my eye a little bit to where I think that he'll have more of an impact than perhaps I thought a month ago. Nashawn Montgomery is one of those young wide receivers that he's in a little bit of a depth chart problem, which is a good thing for us as Gators, right? But I think he's really had a great August. And we know injuries are coming at some point, but he seems to always just make the play, right? And so I think there's value in that. I think you'll find him on the field. And can I call Cormani McClain a breakout player? I mean, here's a guy that was a 5-star coming out, and then let's be honest, he arrives in Gainesville as a walk-on, right? And kind of flashes real quick last year, and then he's hurt, and that's it. I just think he's had a great offseason, and now he's in the mix to start, but with Dede Johnson and Devin Moore, I just maybe we'll really truly get to see what all the talk out of Lake Winlow is about Cormani McClain and what that will look like, ball skills, football instincts, that kind of a thing. There are other candidates too, but those are the ones that kind of jump out at me at the moment.
George in Macon, Georgia on the Titan MR text line wants to know, Sean, calling the Gators national championship win, is that the highlight of your career?
It might be. I've been blessed to do a lot of great things. In fact, I was listening to our friend Steve Russell's show the other day, and I guess he posed a question to his listeners about, he was talking about, for him, it was the 69 Mets. What season or what team kind of captured you in some ways? And my immediate thought was, okay, it must be about growing up or anything like that. But then I really started to think about this run that the Gators basketball team had last year and how much I enjoyed being around them every day. And then the improbability of some of the wins that they had along the way, including the championship game. And it's funny, Shane, last month I had a really long drive ahead of me, and I had not listened back to the broadcast of the championship game. So I figured out how to find it, on the Varsity app, and I listened to the game for the first time since that night. And there was I said to myself, how did the Gators freaking win this game? That was the first thing. But there were so many things along the way that I just kind of forgot, little details in the game, and how, incredulous we sounded at the end, because that's the fact that the Gators only led for like 41 seconds or whatever that number was, somewhere around there. It really was a career highlight for me. There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
It was a hell of a year. Speaking of that, I can't tell you how many times people ask on my program how they can sync up our broadcast. Is the Varsity app the best way to go, or is it WRUF, or do they have to pause their TV? Do you know the best way of doing that?
There's a website, and I hope I get this right. It's called syncmygame.com. And that's helpful in getting things lined up. But it is a matter of being able to either pause your television or pause the app and kind of match things up. The Varsity app is the best way to listen to these Gators games if you're out of market. WRUF's app is another, viable option. One thing about the Varsity app too is it archives all those broadcasts. You can go back and listen to a game, or you can join. I think you can join it in progress, and if you want to hear it from the beginning, I think you can do that too. But I have an email that this week I haven't even replied to yet, which, my apologies, it's a crazy week, but that's a common question. And I'm flattered that our fans want to listen to your analysis and Tate's insight and us calling the game from a Gators perspective. So I am sympathetic to the delay that can happen. And even those who sit in the stadium and trying to listen to WRUF, in real time, there are certain delays because of the mechanics of how you're receiving it. If it's through the app, it's going to be delayed just because it takes longer to get in and through the app. If it's over the air, it's a little more instantaneous. But syncmygame.com, Shane, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, there'll be a card in the stack that I receive on Saturday promoting that, because that comes from Learfield. So okay. If I don't have it right today, I'll have it right when I read that card on Saturday.
Dan's question on Facebook Live before we get you out of here, brought to you by Mel Law. Thoughts on fake injuries being penalized this year and any of the other rule changes?
Yeah, it's about time for that, because it had become a tactic by some, and to me it's a delay of game, and I think it's an unsportsmanlike situation, and injuries are serious business. So why would we trivialize something like that when, Shane, as you know, as a player, if you play this game, you're going to get hurt. It's 100%. Okay. So when we take something as serious as that impacts young people's lives or their families or a lot of things, why would you diminish the importance of that or the risk of that by feigning injuries? And it's kind of silliness. So I don't know how well they'll do this, but I'm glad it's certainly in there. Every year we get the new rule changes, and then we get this thing called points of emphasis. And so obviously that, and then among other things with the points of emphasis, that's on the list as well. And pace of play is also, in this year's slide for points of emphasis. What's your opinion on this? I mean, can it really be enforced? Because the flip side of what I said was, you also can't disrespect that if a guy's really hurt, right. You can't, right. it's really hard for me as a broadcaster to say, are you kidding me? And if the kid's really hurt, I'm going to feel awful, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know.
It's tough. I don't know how you police it, quite honestly. But people have taken way too much of an advantage of falling down, cramp, act like you got a cramp or an ankle or whatever. So we'll see how it all plays out. Last thing, we're going to get you out of here. Your key to the entire season. I think Florida can be really explosive and score a bunch of points. I go back to defense, defense, defense. If we can carry over how we played late in the year, Florida can be in that playoff talk, going into the Georgia game. But what are your keys for us having the year that every Gator fan wants to have?
Well, at the risk of being lazy here, I'll go with what a lot of people say. The health of DJ Lagway goes a long way in how the season's going to go. Duh, there's the obvious one. I'm kind of like you as well, because there's not much I worry about offensively. I've just gotten to this place where, Shane, it's how well do you protect your quarterback and how well do you affect the other team's quarterback?
Yeah.
And when we watched the Gators down the stretch of last season, sacking the quarterback and taking the football away are the two things that got the Gators defense back on track. And one of the things that's interesting, the defensive backs started this last year. If they don't get 3 interceptions in practice, at the end of practice, they get on the line and run. And they're continuing to do that here in August. And there's that emphasis on ball hawking and taking the football away. So winning the turnover battle with that group. And then I do think the defensive front for the Gators is going to affect the quarterback. It's a really unique and talented group. And so if those guys can put up maybe even better sack numbers than last year, that's a key too. Here's the thing, and I'll leave you with this, Shane, and you and I can disagree on this, because I'd love for you to teach me if I'm wrong on this. I think, this is the most complete roster Napier's had yet.
Agree.
And I think that what has finally happened is that from a talent and depth standpoint, the Gators have now closed the gap and are on the same plane as the other elite teams, not just in the SEC, but the country. And so with that being said, and I was talking to Brandon Spikes a little bit about this last week, now it comes down to those little things, right? And it's a mental thing. It's the little things. It's execution. The teams that do that better than the other, when the talent and the depth is on a level playing field, is what is the separator between a win and a loss, especially when you look at a schedule like this.
Yeah, and that depth, because, let's just say you do lose a game, you're going to have people complaining that the Nation Montgomery, Duke Clark, whoever didn't touch the football or get at the game, right? Because we got so many good players that may not even play. That shows you we are where we need to be.
No doubt. But think about this. Just even a couple of years ago, Shane, how many times did you and I go into a broadcast thinking, we're kind of outgunned here,
Right.
right? Maybe we'll catch a break. Maybe we can really, hit for a big one or whatever and flip some momentum here. And you just kind of hoped for that. And sometimes it turned out to be the case. I just think now that we're going to watch Florida go into this thing, and you and I are not going to have that conversation of like, man, look at this. Like we don't match up with them in a good way. I think that's different this year.
Yeah, we got a lot of obvious people here on YouTube talking about keep Lagway on the field, keep him healthy. Well, yes. Again,
but
you can't call plays being scared that somebody's going to get hurt, first of all. And remember, DJ has never been injured in a Florida Gator football game due to contact, due to being hit, due to a sack. They've been non-contact injuries. And
yes.
So
they've done a great job with this plan of getting those non-contact injuries back. And Shane, I think you've probably seen a little bit in practice, and when you've been able to watch him, his throwing is so much better. His mechanics were awful when he got here. It was just sheer talent, and I'm big and strong and I can throw it harder than you. His throwing mechanics have changed in a lot of ways, and it's healthier, and the ball is looking good, and he looks more healthy with his throwing motion itself. So knock on wood, that stays the case.
Yes, feet are a lot better, no question about that.
Yes.
Sean, appreciate your time. Let everybody know how they can follow you on Twitter.
I need to be more active with that, but at Sean Kelly Live.
There you have it.
And I'll crank it up here in the next couple of days.
Perfect.
And I'll
You're
see you
a
on
busy man.
Saturday.
You got other stuff to worry about. Appreciate
That's all
your
right.
time joining the program, and we'll see you Saturday, my man.
Can't wait. Thanks, partner.
Yep, that is the voice of the Gators, Sean Kelly, joining us on the Titan No More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Town. Ruzover State Farm Office, a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right. With the right insurance options for you and your family, visitogreinsurance.com. Give them a call, 352-240-1779. Appreciate your time. Tomorrow we'll have Brent and JC. Have a great day, folks. See ya.